Yeah, the Southern River Band doing some of its finest work here as we rock through a Friday preview of all that's happening in sport this week and what's happening on the weekend, and a new look to the set today because, well, Schofield has taken on the role of Steven Spielberg, sitting back on the couch just smoking the pipe, just watching life sail by. Hello, everyone. Mark Reddings alongside Hammer Brayshaw.
Good to be back.
Good to have you here. And I'm just going to ask you off the top before we get into some formalities here.
Yep.
You're still employed by the West Coast Eagles.
I am.
But you've got the flag mantle shirt proudly on the...
proudly on the BackChat flag mantle shirt on the back of the young fella getting the vice skipper yesterday. So, very, very happy with rolling this one out today.
Brilliant stuff, mate. Looking forward to talking some footy with you. Of course, the Shelter FootyCast coming to you live from the BackChat Studios. The socials at Shelter FootyCast, FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.au. Plenty of ways to get involved. YouTube, BackChat, Shelter FootyCast. We've got everything, including news feed, which will come next week. Dan tells me it's official. It'll be on the radar next week. And, of course, Shelter's Summer of Sour. Now, I've been under the gun to taste and give a bit of a review of the sour. Hammer, have you come across?
I have had the... is it this one that I'm eyeballing right here?
The
outdoor shower sour. I had that.
Thoughts?
Yeah, excellent. I'm not a big sour beer guy, but it certainly was. It tickled the fancy.
Beautiful. Just for what it's worth, if you're not across all this, Shelter are challenging people to push their beer boundaries and sip on a sour. The perfect summer drop, refreshing, crisp and crushable. There's also a comp with a great prize pool, including people winning a custom mini Mal surfboard. What the fuck that is? A Victor lawnmower. A Victor lawnmower or a $600 exclusive Escapes voucher, as well as a heap of beer and merch. Plenty of stuff on offer. Enter at the website. And, of course, Scully's getting me to mow some lawn down in Busselton on the long weekend. Of course, Shelter, born and bred, Busselton, WA. We love them. Can't wait to see the team down there in a week or so from now. But to Hammer, let's get straight into the big talking points from this week. Footy-wise, you mentioned Fremantle. Bit stiff.
Yeah, he was a bit stiff.
Take
a breath for a second there, Skeet. That was that rolled off the tongue, all those sponsorship things. Wow. No, he was a bit stiff. He went all right, though. I thought... he was, what is he, 23 now? I thought he could have got it, could have waited a couple of years. I think the voting came in at Alex Pearce got 220. Andrew was 180, Caleb was 150, and then the other leaders were sort of 60. I think they might go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sort of set up for every player. So it was clearly that Alex Pearce was your number one guy. I think vice captain probably suits him, takes a bit of pressure off him, lets him play another good year of football, hopefully. But yeah, he's still a leader in some capacity, so he's got that going for him at 23, which is nice. So we'll see how he goes.
Given you're outside the bubble, what are your thoughts on Alex Pearce as a captain? He did the job for a fair bit last year. Obviously, the players have had their say, so he's a highly popular member of that group.
Yeah, he is. He stepped in last year for Nat when he was injured and did a really good job, but I think the way he leads on field is second to none in terms of he'll back his players up. You don't want to, if something goes wrong, he's there, the enforcer sort of thing as a full back, and Scully will obviously love that. But another defender as the captain this year will be huge for the comp. But no, he's a staunch defender who just loves his players and loves his team. So I think he's the fitting man for the job this year.
Yeah, Tasmanian originally, so he's come across here and been given that huge honour. On a slightly serious note, someone like, I know you said the vice captaincy is great for Andrew. You have to be a fraction disappointed. If you've got aspirations to lead, he would have thought at, 22?
He's 23 now.
Just turned 23, that he was ready to go. But maybe this is... I mean, Alex Pearce is not going to be there forever.
No, I think for him, there will be a little bit of an air of disappointment, but at the same time, I think that'll fade pretty quickly once he realises that he can just, once again, focus on another good year of footy. He's 23. I can't imagine he's not going to be a captain of the footy club at some point, whether it's solo or co-captain with Caleb, but... I don't think he's under any illusion that it won't come eventually, but at the moment he's happy with where he's at. So disappointed or not, he's got the vice captain and he'll go this year and have another good crack at it. And then depending on what happens with Pearce in the next couple of years, he's probably the next man to step up.
Let's jump into the start of footy, I suppose, in many ways. Match simulation for the two WA clubs. We've seen some footy over the past 24 hours. Geelong taking care of Hawthorn. There's some results.
Quite comfortably.
Don't take too much out of that, but Essendon getting across the line over the Gold Coast Suns. Carlton, Collingwood today. But let's focus on our two teams, given Scully and I are going to be there at Mineral Resources Park. But just prior to that, the Dockers up against the Crows. What are you looking for from a Fremantle perspective today, for instance?
I'm just looking for a couple of their young boys to step up. I mean, they've got in their forward line, they've lost Lobb last year. Luke Jackson's come in. They're interesting to see how he fits in. And then they're young brigade. They've got Jai Amiss, how he's going to go. Josh Tracy, how they're going to step up. What's going to happen with Tabernar? What's going to happen with Fife down forward? How that is going to mix. But really, they're looking at a premiership window, and this is the first real hit out. So it depends on how hard they want to go. And some teams in pracky games sort of not take it easy, but don't play their full side. But I think they'll have a real crack at it tonight, and I think they should wipe the floor with the Crows pretty comfortably, to be honest, Skeet. I don't think the Crows are going to be that much, to be perfectly frank. But no, I'll be interested to see how the forward line works for Freo tonight.
Well, if you're in South Australia, they're thinking they're going to be one of the big improvers, but obviously it's all state-based, and we're more aware of Freo. The expectations, and as you say, the game style probably won't change a heap, I would have thought, given what they produced last year. Defensively, very good.
Yep. Just
finding, I guess, the right balance in attack. Is that and obviously losing Mundy to get the midfield mix right?
Yeah, I think so. They've got, now that Mundy's gone, they sort of need to find that more of a general inside. Will Brodie was good at it last year, although that's a big disparity between him and Mundy. O'Meara comes in, which will help with a bit of experience. But yeah, they were really run and gun and attacking football last year. So whether or not that will be the same, or whether they sort of go to more defensive. They had a good blend last year. I think if they can get some key targets up forward that can start taking marks and not have to rely on the smalls whipping around and doing their thing, that'll be handy. But yeah, I can't see their game style changing a whole heap. It'll just be different personnel in there.
Yeah, they've got something to like about it, and youth is a primary thing. You think with their age demographic, and I've looked through the lists, and I mean, I think. Off the top of my head, I think 26 is roughly with a bunch of games next to your name is what you need for, and Geelong probably was stretching that last year, but by and large, in that 26 demographic age bracket, you're getting close, and Fremantle's just in that little sweet spot almost.
Yeah, they're getting there. I think they've probably got a little bit. Yeah, they're a little bit younger than that, but their games are about the same. So I think Andrew's 23 now. He's played over 100 games. Caleb's 21 and he's played 60 or 70. And guys like Hayden Young have played a few games. Sam Switkowski's played a few games, and they're all around sort of 23, 24, 25. So a little bit younger, but given the demographic of their list over the few years, they've played a lot of games. So I think they're certainly edging towards that window, if not giving it a red hot crack this year.
Now, you have to go back probably 6, 7, 8 years, the last time that Fremantle went into a season with more hype, more expectations than, say, the Eagles. I think it's fair to say, given what the Eagles did in 18, etc. This year, that's changed, but by the same token, the Eagles, after 2 wins, you can't be backing that up. Tonight, they get their chance to finally see what they've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, unless all hell breaks loose, it's going to be tough for them to be any worse, which is nice. They were. It was all the good teams, 50 feet of crap, and then them last year, Moneyball style. But no, they've done a lot of recruiting over the off-season. Their draftees are really good, and watching them train every day, I'm a little bit biased, but they look a different team than last year. They look fit, they look strong, they look quick, they're moving the ball well. And granted, they've just been playing themselves, so it's easy to look good. They're miles different than they were this time last year. So I'm pretty bullish on the way they can go and how high they can finish, depending on fitness of their better players. But at the moment they're rock hard and fit and ready to go, and I think they'll surprise a few this year definitely.
So to the eye tonight, and Scully's been to a couple of training sessions and mentioned that the transition of the footy, the movement of the footy, he's noticed a real effort on that front. Is that something that you're expecting to see tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just watching them at training and watching them in the last few weeks doing match sim sort of stuff, it is very much take the game on, roll and go. I think they got stuck a few times last year in trying to be perfect with the ball, and their skills just weren't, matching what they were trying to do. And I think Simo's given them a bit of a license now to just say, guys, play on instinct, play with a bit of freedom and go as quick as you can. As Scully will say, as a defender, if it turns over, that's pretty tough. But at the moment, that's you catch a few teams out. Some teams, Collingwood did it really well last year, just roll and go through the middle and take the game on. So I think of a similar style to that is what they're looking to do. But with extra fitness and added speed, they're doing it really well at this point. So we'll see how they go tonight.
The big question this year, in many respects, was how were the Eagles going to cope without Nick Nat if he was injured. Now tonight he's not there. It's not a huge game, but it's maybe just a glimpse as to what they're going to do if he goes down, because let's be honest, it looks like, pardon the pun, an Achilles heel for the footy club with regards to ruck stocks. Is there a bit of concern that you don't have that coverage, or do you think there's someone who can stand up?
Well, It's very, very big shoes to fill if he does go down. Cal Jamison's done a lot of work in the gym. He's gotten bigger and stronger, so I mean he can hold his own in there. Bailey Williams can jump over a 2-metre wall if he wants to. So there's always options. I just think it's difficult to replace if he does go down. I think they've done a lot of work without him over the last few years, so they're used to what it's like to have to shark the opposition ruck and go off that sort of mould of style of midfielder. I think he'll be a big out, but he's feeling at the moment with he's not going to play tonight, but I think he'll get a few games out of him this year, so I don't think it's too much of an issue.
How many debutants do you reckon for round 1 against North? I mean, you've seen enough of the kids, and you know that the elder statesmen are in pretty good health. So what does Simo do on that front? Because everyone likes to see a changing of the guard to some degree, just a fresh face or two. And Ruben Jimmy, who's not playing tonight, is one of those you'd think. But how many do you reckon? Give us a number for round 1.
Oh, I'd say you'll probably get 3 debutants off the top of my head. I think Jaden Hunt will debut for the club.
Yeah.
One. I think Ruben Jimby will play. I'm pretty keen on seeing what Noah Long can do as a small forward. I think with Junior gone, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes tonight. There's a sort of a hole there as a young whippy small forward, and I think he's done a really good job this pre-season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he slots in round 1. Yeah, I'd say the Lions 3, and that'd be a tough one. I'd say I'd be going overs, but I think it'll be about 3 or 4.
Yeah, you and Scully, you compare notes. He's a Noah Long convert. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play tonight.
Yeah.
So if he's what you boys think he's going to be, then it just gives him that little X factor as Junior gave them.
Yeah, no fuss too. He's just got a haircut that doesn't, you wouldn't even look twice at. He's not gone and done all the weird stuff that people do to their hair. He's not rolling in anything fancy. He's not driving a brand new car. He's just a meat and potato sort of fella, but he just gets it done. I like him.
Bit like the Shelter FootyCast. Hamish Brayshaw, Mark Redding's joining you as we preview what's happening this weekend. Right, let's talk some footy issues off the top. I know you're not quite across the Clarko incident at North Melbourne, where he's been through a fair bit with the Hawthorn scenario. A nice lighter moment in the rooms as part of a doco, referring to Hawthorn when he's trying to talk about North and the dash, which is living life to 80 and making sure you make the most of it. But unfortunately, again, off the back of the Taron Thomas story, which is still unfolding, Clarko's found himself in a bit of trouble at training. Journos rocking up, asking questions, being a bit pesky, and he told one woman from Channel 9, I think it's Elizabeth Moss from memory, your time will come. Now, that's probably a moment that he'll regret.
Yeah, having been filled in, and the choice of words probably not what he would have liked in hindsight. I mean, it could have been a coincidence. It might have been a pointed comment, but either way, it certainly doesn't look good on Clarko.
No, it doesn't. And look, we don't condone it, and we know that the way we speak to people in 2023 is different to what I went through and other journalists going back 30 years. So we had Mick Malthouse, who was got out of school, got a cadetship, and Mick Malthouse was the coach. And people always ask me, how come you never really barracked for the Eagles? Well, you lose a bit. No, not Mick. Mick was great from a young journalist point of view, but geez, he was a hard ass back then. It was and not so much the language that he used, but he intimidated, and it was hard, and it was great for a journo to learn that style, and maybe as a player going back 15, 20 years ago, Scully and yourself enjoy that type of confrontational style, which has that completely disappeared from modern day footy. And not saying what Clarko did with the reporter was good, but mate, back in my day, if you got told that, you just cop it on the chin, move on. But they don't accept that nowadays. No,
I think there's a certain level of respect that you get told to give to journalists. I mean, they're doing their job. They're not trying to do anything malicious, and it's they're just getting paid to do what they have to do. And I think there's a lot of training that goes into players and coaches about how to interact. And sometimes over the last few years, you've seen some things go wrong. I mean, Luke Beveridge, that was that blew up, and there were some certain things that happened in the media that you sort of look at and think maybe I would have done a little bit differently. But I think it's not. Confrontation isn't something that players are after. You don't want a headline of yourself. You want to if you're doing a media appearance, you want it to just go smooth and then fly under the radar. And a confrontation's certainly not on the agenda for most players. Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at, even going back to 1991, the Eagles got beaten by Hawthorn in the GF, and Mick was pretty pissed, as you can imagine. Yep. And I'm not sure if it was a physical, but he certainly, Luke Morfess, who's now at the Dockers, was working for the West, and he may have just
got him in a position where he thought about just putting one between his eyeballs. Mick was an interesting character. And Clarko, I've looked at his rap sheet. He's a great coach, but geez, he's got some misdemeanors next to his name.
Well, I mean, even Ross Lyon, like he there was a video that went on when he got the Saints job of all the little snippets of him in interviews post game, and it's humour watching. But I can't imagine it'd be overly fun to be a journalist copping that. But
mate, trust me, they are far more mellow than
better now.
Even Woosha. Woosha didn't say too much that was threatening, but if you asked a question, this is going back, when I reckon when clubs are in contention.
Yeah.
And Woosh, obviously, in 05-06, and you were sort of poking him about various things. That's when you could see that sort of Julie Bishop death stare, and it was like, you didn't have to say it, you just thought, oh, geez, I've got to find a way out of this.
Poke the bear. I've asked the wrong question here.
And they were right. He's a great bloke, but it was just at the time, they're just moments you look back on with a bit of fondness. The other one that I want to throw up at you, now I haven't actually seen, I've seen the trailer, Show Me the Money. Has just come out.
Show Me the Money too. Yep, it has.
On 2. Now, have you had a bit of a look? Because obviously, for those that most of you would know, it's regarding the trade period in the AFL and player managers, who, by the way, I reckon have got a definite thespian feel about them. A lot of them are actors and they love the drama, and you got Youngie in the abattoir and Paul Connors. And, mate, they, seriously, if they say they don't enjoy the spotlight, they're talking bulltish.
Kidding themselves, yeah. I got home from work yesterday, and I'm staying with my little brother Andrew at the moment, and he was watching Show Me the Money too, and I said, what are you doing? He said, I just want to see, because this one's got Roy Lobb, it's got Griffin Logan, it's got a bit of Freo flair about it. So I went home and watched it, and it's got Andrew McDougall in New York and doing all this stuff.
New York?
Well, someone was in New York, and anyway, I'm watching it saying, this is a bit much. And then it got onto the lobby stuff, and he was a bit of potting Freo about it, and it was like, I've probably spoken to Longy maybe once a week for the last year, and I don't really get played where I want to be played, and he was sort of, you're taken aback at some of the insight you get. But there's some good stories to come out of it as well. I mean, the Bobby Hill one was interesting. Didn't get traded, went back to GWS, played another year, got cancer, had the rest of it, had a lot of stuff to deal with, finally got a deal to Collingwood. So there's some good stories to come out of it. But it is certainly an interesting behind-the-curtain look. But I don't think I'll be watching much more than what I saw last night.
It's fascinating, though. As a football person that loves it, is it as stressful, and you've been, wondering where your future is? Obviously, the stress levels is dramatised here to some degree, but this is flying the wall stuff. So for us, it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, wasn't a whole heap of stress. Just, hey, please, can I have some more? Which wasn't obliged. But it is. It's like some of these guys are. The Brodie Grundy one, for example, he wanted to be a pie for life, and he was talking about it. It's, hey, mate, we don't want you anymore. See you later. And then Jack Bowes, we're paying you too much. We want to get rid of you, essentially. So there's a lot of it there that it's a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to be, in a pretty stressful situation for these guys, what they're going to do with their lives and their careers, and moving interstate, moving their families away for some of these. It's interesting, really, really interesting behind-the-scenes look at it.
Yeah, as Paul Connors said, a little quote out of that, he said, many of us think we're curing cancer, but it's just footy, which, it's their business, it's their livelihood, but we do probably make it a little more important than that it is, I guess, most of the public regard it as. The other big issue this week is the licence for Tasmania. Will it, won't it? Gil McLachlan has been in the Apple Isle this week. He's spoken about, I think, dipping in like $350 million to their effort if obviously the stadium is built, etc. So it seems a logical step to take. You're a fan of, or what?
I'm a fan of expanding the game. I was having a chat with someone about this the other day. There's not many homegrown Taswegians, or however you want to call them, in the AFL. So, I mean, if there's academies and all the rest of it, the homegrown talent will be difficult. But in terms of expanding the game, it's the next logical step. They've got an NBL team, they've got a BBL team, so it makes sense. Whether or not you can sustain it financially with crowds, I mean, they certainly get behind the cricket and the basketball down there, and they love their own team. So I think it's only a matter of time before it happens, and then Alex Pearce will go and captain them.
Oh, geez, it's probably 5 years away. No, what are we thinking?
It's a while. I can't imagine it happening in the next 2 or 3. Definitely.
Yeah, well, that's true. But before your time, and I defy anyone here to tell me, how much the Eagles and Brisbane Bears paid to get into the VFL back in 1987?
Oh, it's a great question, and I do know the answer to this somewhere in the archives of my brain because it was a trivia question one day that Tim Jepp gave me, but it is.
I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah, hit me with it.
It was 4
million.
4 mil in 1986,
Yeah.
7. Obviously, 87 was the first year for the Eagles and the Brisbane Bears. 4 million to obviously bail out VFL clubs that were struggling, and to be honest, the waffle wasn't travelling flash either. But $4 million, and now we see what money's getting pumped into GWS and the Gold Coast Suns, obviously non-footy sort of heartlands.
Yep.
But $4 million. So this shows you that that this national competition hasn't just happened because the generosity of those in Victoria.
Exactly, 350 million would have gone a long way back then. But sorry, Jeppy, I forgot about that. But no, that's they certainly made it hard for him, from all reports, to come into the comp.
Yeah, this is the Shelter FootyCast. Mark Reddings, Hamish Brayshaw, taking you through all the big things in sport. Righto, let's talk a bit of Test cricket and what the hell is happening in India. The team for the third Test. By the way, WA's beaten Tassie in the Sheffield Shield today, so we're fine. Won the Big Bash. We've won we haven't won the Marsh One Day Cup yet. We're going to host it in a couple of weeks. Sheffield Shield final, we're going beautifully. Adam Voges last night named the Sports West Coach of the Year. So congratulations to him. Jai Hindley from cycling, well done. Sports Star of the Year and West Coast Fever Team of the Year. So that was from last night. Went there. Good night. The cricket. Now, have you tuned out? So Scully, let's be honest, Scully, it's a bit like me talking about UFC. Not really
Scully's
my
not
wheelhouse.
a cricketer. No, that's fine. I have not tuned out. I have not been able to tune out for the life of me. I mean, as much as it's sort of a train wreck happening in front of your eyes, you can't look away for mine. So I watched the last Test, and I remember sitting there on the Sunday, and we were 1 for 60 overnight. And I thought, righto, if we can get to sort of 200, 220 here, it's going to be tough for India in the last day and a bit. And then all of a sudden, in an hour, we lost 7 wickets, 8 wickets, and it just looked like a train wreck. I don't know what we were doing. We were trying to sweep everything. I don't know what the plan was. It must have been premeditated because everyone was doing it. Reverse sweeps going out of fashion, and it just looked like they were, they'd given up. I mean, for Pat Cummins to come out and first ball slog sweep down on one knee looking over cow corner, and then the thing that annoyed me the most was then he walked off after being clean bowled first ball, practicing a front foot
defensive.
I'm like, it's just do that, mate. What are you doing? You've just tried to swing out of your shoes and then you're practicing that one. It was just a disaster. And now the team's sort of changed, people in, people out, and it's. I hope we don't go the similar way this time, but India are just
too good.
Yeah,
Mate, too good. Jadeja,
Yep.
Ash went over there, very hard to beat, and we won the toss and batted, so we had the best of the conditions throughout. End of the day, Pat Cummins has come home, Josh Hazlewood, Ashton Agar, who spoke so well when he returned, very classy individual, and Dave Warner, who, in my mind, is in denial. He was asked yesterday about, are you in a rut? He said, well, mate, a few weeks ago I made a double 100. But in the past 3 years, that's his only real success story. Yeah. He hasn't travelled well. Taking him to England, which is the next big story, I'd rather go over there, Hammer, with a younger bloke, someone that will play Test cricket for the next 5 years and fail, than Warner go over there for a sort of like a tribute series. And fail, because it looks clearly like he's been a great cricketer. Anyone who scores over 8,000 Test runs is a gun. But his time's come.
I think so. England are in phenomenal form. They are a real task, and I think to take what we've got at the moment over there would just be pointless because we're not firing. I think we're still the number 1 ranked Test side in the world.
But you'd have to admit, though,
we're not. No.
But, well, look, we've beaten soft kills, West Indies, South Africa, number 2, by the way. But so the ranking's probably not
that 200 that he made though. No, South Africa were poor. They were really poor. No one was doing anything. The ball was doing nothing, and it's on a flat track. Easy 200.
Totally agree. But
easy 200. I say that. He's never made anything over 50.
Yeah, I know. I haven't even actually put the creams on for Australia. But let me just say this. India, different beast to playing in England. For guys like Matt Renshaw, who I still rate, just looked hopelessly out of his depth spin. Labuschagne Smith, a lot better. I just think they will be a far better side in England in those conditions.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more suited to what we are producing. We haven't been very good at spin this series at all. The thing that annoys me, though, watching Australians play India is India playing India better than anyone, and we are doing the complete opposite of what they do. Have a look at the best players in India and watch what they do. Watch how Pujara bats. Watch how they go about. Watch how Sharma bats. Sharma would have swept twice in the first innings when he made his 100, and was playing things with a straight bat and just pushing the singles here and there. And when they got too full, would go over the bowler's head, and we just didn't even look like paying any attention to that. We had our plans, and it just didn't work. So I'm pretty keen to get this one out of the way and then go over and have a real crack at a pretty good England side.
Pretty good. In fact, if you're looking now, they're the form team of world cricket. The way
absolutely.
they're playing, Ben Stokes, the Bazball thing. Mate, they're still, even today, I think I saw them 3 for 70 off 20 overs. They're going at 4 or 5 runs and over.
Yep, they're flying along.
Albeit, you wonder, against a decent Australian attack, whether they can do that over there. That's the question. But, geez, I'm looking forward to going over there and having a look at a test match, Hammer. Going to Lords. And,
are you going over?
Yeah,
I'm
selling a couple of children to actually pay for the accommodation, etc., and the tickets. But it's going to be...
hopefully not your own, because you don't want to lose them.
No, of course. But if you wouldn't have been on Ashes Test over there?
No, never.
Mate, it's a lot of fun, a lot of pims, and you buy tea. You're basically looking for an Uber to somewhere that is going to provide you a safe haven, because it's good fun.
My uncle, one of my uncles, who's the bogan of the family, not James, Robert. He's hilarious, but he rolled into a test match at Lords where my pop was in a box, and he had his Richmond Tigers tracksuit pants on. He had a singlet on, thongs, and his sunnies on his head, and he was drinking a beer. Walked into this very prim and proper Lord's box and said, I'm just with Ian Brayshaw. Oh, no worries, mate. In you come. Sat down, sipping away, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'll get over there at some point.
Mate, you got to do it. Last quarter coming up shortly on the Shelter FootyCast. And this is for a case of shelter for you, Hammer. I'm going to ask you, tell me, and it has to be exact, tell me the exact number of periods and minutes being played at Victor George Kalis Oval this afternoon between Fremantle and Adelaide, which begins at 3:20.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Mate, who would know? How do you come up with this stuff?
I would say, I haven't heard this, and I wish Andrew had told me last night. I would say there'll probably be 7 stanzas.
Stanzas?
Yeah, I'm a stanza guy.
George Costanza?
Yeah. Was this, how many, am I already off?
Yeah, you're on the runway, yeah.
So it's 7?
Yep.
I'm going to say the first 4 will be 20 plus time on, or are they flat somethings? Disappointing. I'm out. Anyway, just go with it.
6 by 25, and then 20 minutes, no time on. So,
wow.
How do you come up with these? Anyway, for what it's worth, Michael Frederick, he's rested with the quad. Walters has got the Achilles. Skater boy Cox is not playing. Is that right? Is he? I thought he might be having a run. We'll check on that. But Skater boy, we're just waiting to see. O'Driscoll, very keen to see how he...
Yeah, Drizzy, I'm happy to... He's an interesting player. I like him a lot.
And as we said, we're talking about Jackson Corbett. O'Meara looks like he's hit the ground running as well. Jager O'Meara.
Oh, what a specimen that guy is. Just perfect. Such a nice guy too. Wish there was something wrong with him, but he's good looking. He's just a...
Just got engaged, isn't he?
Yeah, just got engaged. His fiancée is great too. He looks like he's chiseled out of granite. Just a perfect guy. Hate him. Just have something wrong with you, Jagger, for God's sake.
Well, you come and visit us on a Monday and Thursday, mate. You won't have any of those types of concerns with Scully and Skeet. I'll give you the tip. Adelaide, by the way, for what it's worth. Rory Sloane, who's stepped down as captain, done the knee. Nothing long term, but they've got a few out, of course, Adelaide. But yeah, that's a hit out for them. And at 4:40, Scully and I will be running through. This is how I'm going. I can't even. Here we go. I can't even work this. I've lost the handle. Anyway, Eagles, 4:40.
Yep.
I'll tell you off the top of my head, so I don't put you under the pump here, Hammer.
That's
there are
fine.
4 quarters of 28 minutes.
Yep, 4 flat 28s.
Oh, you'll know this, and two 20s in between after that. Waffle players for the Eagles going to help out Port, is that right, possibly?
Yeah, potentially. They're going to top up at the end in the last 2. They're going to play, I'm imagining Eagles will play a full 4, basically a full hit out, and then there'll be Waffle top-up players that come in and help out both sides.
Beautiful. Last one. Speaking of coaches, the Glory, we'll find out later today what happened with Ruben Zatkovic. And Coley, his gun player, they say it's a physical altercation.
Physical altercation. It was, just a genuine FU attitude adjustment, John Cena style, I would have thought. Something along those lines. It's WWE, UFC style.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's a ripping story. If half of it's true, Chris Corn, we'd love Corny to be here today to help us out with that, but not to be. Because my computer skills aren't great, I've lost the screen here because I'm an absolute
just
nothing.
riffing.
But what I'll tell you, Hammer, is you've done an outstanding job.
Thank you, Skate.
Look forward to seeing you on the couch with us through the course of the footy season. It's going to be huge because Scully's going to be sort of floating. I'm going to Europe just to try and get away from life for a moment or two. But we're going to have a heap of fun during the year. Thanks for your time. Of course, Shelter, we're going to be down there in Busselton next week. Make sure you get on the socials, support them, have the sour. I'll be doing some lawn mowing. Scully and I back on Monday for all the hard-hitting issues from the first match simulation. This is... What about the Ansett Cup, the Wizard Cup? No, it's match simulation coming your way. Listen to Scully and myself on KO and Foxtel this afternoon for a couple of battlers doing their best. Have a good one. Speak soon.